I step into the grand ballroom of the Evergreen Resort and immediately wish I hadn't come. Chandeliers drip crystal light across marble floors, and wealth whispers through the room in hushed tones of respect. Michael's hand finds the small of my back, steadying me with the gentle pressure of his palm. "Breathe," he whispers, his surgeon's eyes assessing me with clinical precision. "We earned our place here." Leo tugs at his bow tie, his 6-year-old patience already wearing thin. "Mom, this thing is trying to choke me." I kneel, adjusting the offending fabric with a smile. "Just for a little while, buddy. Remember our deal, good behavior now, swimming pool after." The reception crowd parts briefly, and my heart stops. A familiar profile catches my eye, the slight tilt of her head, the way she leans forward when she laughs. I haven't seen that gesture in 11 years, but my body remembers it instantly. The bride turns, champagne glass raised in a toast, and our eyes lock across the room. "Grace." "My sister." The champagne flute trembles slightly in my hand, the only outward sign of the earthquake happening inside me. I hadn't recognized the name Daniel Brooks in the invitation. I hadn't made the connection. I'd assumed Grace was still using our family name Collins. Her gasp cuts through the ambient conversation like a blade. Heads turn. The music continues, but a bubble of silence forms around us, stretching across the divide. Behind her, Mother's face drains of color, then flushes crimson. Father moves protectively toward Grace, his broad shoulders creating a barrier between us just as he's done all our lives. "What are you doing here?" Mother hisses, loud enough that nearby guests turn with curious eyes. The familiar shame rises in my throat. For a heartbeat, I'm 21 again, standing in the rain with a suitcase, homeless and alone. Michael steps forward, his voice firm but measured. "My wife is a guest. She's the CEO of MedNova. We were personally invited by the groom." The name MedNova ripples through the cluster of medical professionals nearby. I hear whispers, see recognition dawn in their eyes. "CEO?" A woman in a burgundy dress turns to her companion. "That's Amber Collins?" The rain soaks through my thin jacket as Father's words echo in my memory. "If you're too ungrateful to help at the clinic, don't come back." The slam of our front door punctuates his sentence, final as a judge's gavel. Now, I stand straight-backed in Valentino, the rain a distant memory. The scared girl is gone. In her place stands a woman who built something from nothing, who refused to disappear. Dr. Daniel Brooks approaches, confusion creasing his brow. His gaze darts between Grace's frozen face and my composed one. "You know the CEO of MedNova?" He directs this question to my parents, then turns to me with growing interest. "We've been trying to partner with them for months. Your patient monitoring system is revolutionizing post-surgical care." Grace attempts a smile, but it falters at the edges. Mother and father exchange glances loaded with panic. The whispers among the wedding guests grow louder, more insistent. I could make a scene. I could expose 11 years of lies. I could tell Daniel how they told everyone I'd failed out of college, how they'd painted me as irresponsible while pocketing my tuition money for Grace's benefit. The power is finally mine. Instead, I simply say, "Hello, Grace. Congratulations." The simplicity lands like a thunderclap. Grace flinches as if I'd shouted. Michael's hand returns to my back, a silent question. "Stay or go?" Leo looks up at me, innocent to the undercurrents swirling around us. "Mom, is that lady in the white dress your friend?" Daniel's gaze sharpens. He looks between Grace and me, his new bride and the stranger who clearly isn't a stranger. "Grace." His voice carries confusion and the first notes of suspicion. "I thought you said your sister was." His voice trails off, the unfinished sentence hanging between us. Grace's eyes dart frantically between her new husband and her parents. For the first time in my life, I watch her struggle for words. Have you ever walked into a room and immediately regretted it? The smart move would be to grab my family and quietly slip away. Let Grace have her perfect day. Let sleeping dogs lie. But sometimes regret is just fear wearing a mask. And I stopped being afraid a long time ago. And this is my wife, Grace, Daniel beams, his arm sliding around her waist. Stanford graduate and the brilliant mind managing her family's medical practice back in Vermont. I stand 10 feet away, my champagne untouched, watching my sister nod demurely as she's introduced to a cluster of doctors. Her pearl earrings catch the light when she tilts her head, a gesture I recognize from childhood or tell when she's about to stretch the truth. The Collins Clinic has been serving our community for 30 years, she says, voice pitched perfectly between pride and humility. We specialize in family medicine with some geriatric care. Michael touches my elbow, drawing my attention to the conversation unfolding beside us. A silver-haired woman in an elegant pantsuit studies my name badge. Mednova? Her eyes widen. You're Amber Collins? Your presentation at last month's medical summit was brilliant. The patient monitoring system you've developed is changing post-surgical recovery protocols across 3 states now. 4, actually, I smile. We just finalized implementation with Northwestern's hospital network. Across the room, Grace fumbles through a response about platelet therapy trends. The doctor questioning her exchanges a subtle glance with his colleague. I thought Stanford's medical program had shifted away from that approach 3 years ago, he says, brow furrowed. Grace's laugh floats a pitch too high. Well, you know how these academic debates go. Some professors hold on to traditional methodologies longer than others. Daniel's expression shifts almost imperceptibly, tightening around the eyes, a slight withdrawal of his arm from her waist. He's noticing the discrepancy. Amber. The voice behind me belongs to my father. 11 years older, but unmistakable the same commanding tone that once sent me scurrying to answer phones at the clinic after school while Grace practiced piano. You need to leave, he says, positioning himself between me and the rest of the room. You're ruining Grace's day. Michael stiffens beside me, but I place a steadying hand on his arm. I was invited by Daniel, I reply, my voice low but firm. Perhaps you should explain why that upsets you. Father's face reddens. The expensive suit he wears can't disguise the man beneath a small-town doctor whose authority stops at the borders of his own practice. Don't play innocent. You showing up like this flaunting your whatever company you claim to run. Mednova is hardly a claim, Dennis. Michael steps forward, every inch the Harvard-trained surgeon. The medical technology conference in Boston last month featured your daughter as the keynote speaker. Her monitoring systems are in 27 hospitals nationwide. A nearby guest turns at this, clearly recognizing the company name. Across the room, my mother hovers near Grace, desperately trying to steer Daniel's colleagues away from my direction, her hands fluttering like panicked birds. Too late. The connections are already forming throughout the room, medical professionals recognizing my name, making associations. Leo tugs at my hand. Mom, can I have some cake now? You promised. In a minute, sweetheart. Leo looks past me, eyes fixed on Grace. Is that lady your sister? Does she go to Stanford like you did? Dennis's face drains of color. Before he can respond, Leo continues innocently. You showed me your old college pictures. The red buildings were pretty. Grace has drifted closer. Daniel beside her. Her face freezes at Leo's words. Stanford? Daniel says, looking between us. You went to Stanford too, Amber? Class of 2014, I answer simply. Daniel's colleague, distinguished cardiologist based on his conversation, turns to Daniel. You didn't mention your wife's sister was Amber Collins. Her work on predictive algorithms for post-surgical complications is revolutionary. Northwestern Medical has reduced readmission rates by 22% using her systems. The weight of 11 years of lies settles visibly on Grace's shoulders. She reaches for Daniel's arm, but he steps slightly away, his attention now fully on the professional conversation happening around me. Rain drums against my dorm window as I stare at the bank statement, the numbers not computing. My college fund depleted, transferred to an account I don't recognize. The same day, a package arrives from Grace of photos of her spring break in Cancun, the trip I couldn't understand how our family could afford. I shake off the memory, focusing on the present. Daniel has pulled Grace aside. their heated whispers visible from across the ballroom. His face reflects growing confusion, then disbelief, then something harder as she clutches at his sleeve. "You told me you graduated from Stanford," he says, voice rising just enough to carry. "I went there. I've never heard your name mentioned by any of the faculty." Grace's response comes frantically. "It was mostly remote learning, a special program they had for. Stanford Medicine doesn't offer remote degrees." Daniel's voice has gone cold. Never has. Color drains from Grace's face as she realizes her carefully constructed life is beginning to collapse. Her eyes dart around the room, landing on mine with desperation. Daniel steps back from her, straightens his tie, and turns. With deliberate steps, he walks across the ballroom away from Grace, directly toward me. Behind him, Grace's pleading eyes follow, a drowning woman watching her last lifeline walk away. Daniel guides me away from the crowd with a gentle hand on my elbow. His fingers tremble slightly against my skin, the only indication that the poised doctor is rattled. "Let's find somewhere quieter," he says, his voice steady, but his eyes darting back to where Grace stands with my parents, their heads bent together in urgent conversation. We settle in a small alcove at the edge of the ballroom. 2 plush chairs, a small table between us. The muted lighting casts shadows across his face, highlighting the sharp angles of confusion etched there. "I apologize for the awkwardness," he begins, straightening his bow tie. His words trail off, uncertain how to frame the chasm of questions between us. "You didn't know Grace had a sister." I finish for him, keeping my voice neutral. Daniel's eyes widen. "She mentioned a sister once, but said you dropped out of college after a semester, that you couldn't handle the pressure and disappeared." The old wound throbs, but I don't flinch. Years of boardroom negotiations have taught me to keep my face composed even when bleeding internally. "I graduated summa cum laude," I say simply, "while working 3 jobs. 3 jobs? His brow furrows. Mornings at a coffee shop, evenings at the hospital reception desk, weekends at a call center. The memories flood back the bone. Deep exhaustion, falling asleep over textbooks, the relentless push forward. I put myself through school part-time. No family support. Each word lands like a stone between us, ripples spreading outward. Daniel's expression shifts from confusion to calculation, the surgeon's analytical mind reassessing everything he thought he knew. "Stanford?" he asks, naming his alma mater. I shake my head. "Community college first, then State University. I couldn't afford Stanford after I discovered my college fund had been." I pause, choosing my words carefully. "Reallocated." "To Grace's education," he concludes, the pieces clicking into place. The ballroom around us blurs as memories surface sleeping on Sarah's lumpy couch for 6 months, showering at the YWCA when Jamie's boyfriend kicked me out, eating ramen for weeks straight to save for textbooks. The humiliation of asking professors for extensions because I couldn't stay awake after triple shifts. "The hospital where I worked reception," I continue. "That's where I met Michael. He was a resident then. I remember that night clearly hunched over healthcare administration textbooks during my dinner break, exhaustion pulling at my eyelids. Michael stopping at my desk, curious about the complex diagrams I'd sketched in the margins. "You understand Kellerman's patient flow theory?" he'd asked, surprised. "It's flawed," I'd replied without looking up. "The bottleneck isn't intake, it's documentation requirements between departments." He'd pulled up a chair, and we'd talked until my break ended. The next day, he brought coffee and questions about my ideas for streamlining patient monitoring. Within months, we were developing the prototype that would become MedNova's cornerstone product. Daniel leans forward. "And MedNova? Grace mentioned you worked some office job." I can't help the small smile that touches my lips. "We started in our apartment 7 years ago. Last quarter's revenue was just under $400 million. Across the room, I spot my parents flanking Grace like sentinels. Dennis paces small circles, his face flushed with anger, while Margaret clutches Grace's arm, her knuckles white with tension. They cast frantic glances our way, whispering urgently. They're going to try to separate us soon, I say calmly. Daniel follows my gaze. They appear concerned. Michael approaches us, phone discreetly positioned at his side. I recognize his strategy documenting behavior while appearing casual. A protective measure we've learned after years of navigating hostile business environments. Everything all right here? He asks, his surgeon's eyes performing a quick assessment of my well-being. Just catching up, I reply, gratitude warming my chest. The man standing beside me, steady, brilliant, can seize me as I am, not as my family's convenient narrative. On cue, Margaret bustles toward us, her voice pitched to Carrie. Daniel, there's someone from Boston General dying to meet you. Her eyes slide past me as if I'm invisible. A familiar sensation. Daniel stands his ground. In a moment, Margaret, Amber and I are having an important conversation. My mother's smile stiffens. Always the attention seeker, our Amber. She turns to the nearest cluster of guests. She's always been jealous of her sister's accomplishments. The statement hangs in the air like smoke, acrid and choking. Several guests shift uncomfortably, eyes darting between us. I remain seated, back straight, face composed. Michael's hand rests on my shoulder, a silent anchor. When the bathroom door swings closed behind me 20 minutes later, I'm not surprised to find Grace already inside, reapplying mascara with trembling hands. Our eyes meet in the mirror. Why are you doing this to me? She demands, voice breaking on the final word. I wash my hands slowly, deliberately. Doing what, exactly? Ruining my wedding, making Daniel question everything. Tears streak her carefully applied makeup. I'm not doing anything, I reply softly. I'm simply existing. Grace slams her mascara wand onto the marble counter. You were supposed to stay gone. For the first time, I see the fear behind her anger, the terror of a house of cards beginning to collapse. They told everyone you were a dropout, she continues, words tumbling out like a confession. That you couldn't handle responsibility, that you were… And yet here I am, I interrupt, handling quite a lot. When I emerge from the bathroom, my composure is intact. I return to Michael's side, to the warmth of his hand finding mine. Grace follows minutes later, makeup freshly applied, but something essential has shattered behind her eyes. I notice it immediately, the subtle shift in the room. Wedding guests gradually drifting toward us, drawn by genuine curiosity. A neurosurgeon discussing patient monitoring innovations with Michael. A hospital administrator slipping me her card. Your post-operative monitoring system reduced our complication rates by 30%, she tells me. We'd love to explore expanding its implementation. Daniel stands at my elbow, attentive to the conversation, asking insightful questions about MedNova's technology. His new bride hovers at the periphery, unmoored. Father approaches, shoulders squared for battle. Daniel, he interrupts loudly, this is Grace's wedding. Let's focus on her accomplishments. The silence that follows fills the room like water, drowning everything else. All eyes flick between Daniel and Dennis, then to Grace, whose smile stretches thin across her face. No one speaks. No one needs to. Sometimes silence holds more truth than any words could express. I hand my half-empty champagne flute to a passing server and check my watch. We've stayed long enough. Michael catches my eye across the room where he's extricating himself from a conversation with an enthusiastic orthopedic surgeon. His slight nod confirms we're on the same wavelength, as always. Are we leaving now? Leo tugs at my hand, hope brightening his eyes. Swimming pool time? Yes, buddy, just one more thing. I pull a small cream-colored envelope from my clutch. Inside rests a certificate for MedNova stock, not life-changing money, but enough to make a statement. This is who I am now, not the desperate girl they threw away. Michael joins us, his hand finding the small of my back. Ready? Almost. I scan the room for Daniel. The poor man deserves some courtesy on his wedding day, even if his in-laws don't. We find him near the bar, watching Grace with an expression I recognize too well, the first hints of doubt creeping into what should be certainty. My sister works the room with practiced charm, but now I notice how she flinches slightly when medical terms enter the conversation, how quickly she redirects. We're heading out, I tell Daniel, offering the envelope. Congratulations again. He takes it with genuine warmth. Thank you for coming, especially considering. His eyes drift toward my parents, who hover nearby like vultures circling wounded prey. I appreciate the invitation. I mean it. Closing this chapter matters more than I realized. Daniel leans closer, voice dropping. I'd like to visit Mednova sometime. Professionally. Our eyes meet, understanding passing between us without words. He knows. Maybe not everything, but my assistant will set it up. I offer my business card, aware of Grace watching us, her smile cracking at the edges like old porcelain. Mother glides toward us, social armor firmly in place. Amber was always so driven, she tells a nearby guest with calculated lightness. Of course, she had advantages we couldn't provide Grace. The blatant reversal of truth would have wounded me once. Now it's almost comical. What advantages were those, Mrs. Collins? Michael asks innocently. The 3 jobs while putting herself through night school, or sleeping on friends' couches after you took her tuition money? Mother's face hardens, but a cluster of Daniel's colleagues has drifted within earshot. She retreats a step, recalculating. Leo looks up at me, confusion clouding his face. Aren't those people your family, Mom? The question silences everyone within hearing distance. Simple, direct, unintentionally devastating. I kneel to his level. They're relatives, buddy. Family is different. Father chooses this moment to approach, puffing up his chest like he did when I was young and easily intimidated. You can't just waltz back into our lives and... I'm not interested in walking back into anything. My voice cuts through his bluster with quiet finality. I'm not here to expose you or reconcile with you. I built my own life, which is exactly what you forced me to do when you showed me the door. The image flashes unbidden. Rain soaking through my jacket, the weight of my suitcase, the terrifying freedom of having nothing left to lose. Behind me, Leo fidgets with his bow tie again. Michael rests his hand on our son's shoulder, steadying him the way he steadied me all those years ago when I thought I'd drown. Thank you, I tell my parents, causing them to blink in confusion. Thank you for not giving me a chance. You made me build my own. Mother's face contorts between rage and social preservation. For once, she finds no words. I take Leo's hand. Michael falls into step beside us as we make our exit unhurried, dignified, complete. No dramatic declarations, no tearful scenes, just the quiet power of walking away whole. Whispers follow us like gentle rain, but unlike that night 11 years ago, they don't touch me. I've built an umbrella of accomplishment that shields me from their storms. In the lobby, Leo breaks free and spins with childish delight. Pool time. 10 minutes to change, and I'll meet you there, Michael tells him, tousling his hair. As we cross toward the elevators, I catch our reflection in the polished marble Walla family of 3, solid and connected. Behind us, through the ballroom doors, I glimpse Daniel watching our departure, then turning back to his new bride with new questions in his eyes. Some weddings mark beginnings. This one marks an ending, the final release of expectations I never needed to fulfill, approval I no longer seek, and pain I refuse to carry forward. Leo punches the elevator button with enthusiastic determination. Up we go. Yes, up we go indeed. Sunlight angles through the floor-to-ceiling windows of my office, casting long shadows across the polished concrete floors. 1 month has passed since Grace's wedding, but the memory still lurks in corners of my mind like a half-forgotten dream. I scan the partnership proposal from Boston Memorial, a contract worth 8 figures sprawled across my desk. Mednova's patient monitoring system reduced post-surgical complications by 37% in their trial run. Numbers don't lie. Numbers don't play favorites. My assistant Meredith's voice crackles through the intercom. Dr. Daniel Brooks is here to see you. My pen stills against paper. I hadn't spoken to my sister's husband since that night. Sent him in. Daniel enters like a man carrying invisible weight. His shoulders curl forward, suit jacket wrinkled at the elbows. Dark circles shadow his eyes. Thank you for seeing me without an appointment. He stands awkwardly until I gesture toward the chair opposite my desk. Coffee? I offer. He shakes his head. I can't stay long. I wait. Experience has taught me the power of silence. I've consulted with a lawyer about annulment possibilities. The words tumble out like stones. Everything Grace told me was fabricated. She never attended Stanford. She never managed your parents' clinic. She's the receptionist. I absorbed this without surprise. The lies were always there, waiting for someone to notice. I'm sorry to hear that, I say, and mean it. Your parents made her the face of their practice while they... His voice trails off as he runs a hand through disheveled hair. The billing practices at their clinic, they've been charging Medicare for procedures never performed, using outdated codes deliberately. Grace helped them do it. The revelation lands like a slap, not because it's shocking, but because it confirms suspicions I buried years ago. I didn't mean to drag you back into this, Daniel continues. But when I started investigating Grace's background, I found patterns, discrepancies. Your name kept appearing in old clinic records, then vanishing completely 11 years ago. The skyline beyond my window shimmers in summer heat. I built this view from nothing, while they built their lives on fabrications. They used my college fund for Grace, I say simply. When I confronted them, they told me I wasn't Stanford material anyway. Daniel winces. The irony is, I never wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to improve medical systems, make them more efficient, more accurate. You've done that, Daniel says, glancing around my office. MedNova is transforming post-surgical care across the country. A silence stretches between us, comfortable in its honesty. The clinic is being investigated, he finally says. I submitted anonymous information to the proper authorities after discovering the extent of the fraud. They've been doing this for nearly 15 years. 15 years. Beginning right around the time I left for college. My phone buzzes with a text from Michael. Picking up Leo early, zoo day. Join us? A warmth spreads through my chest. This is my real family now. What will you do? I ask Daniel. He straightens his shoulders. File for annulment, cooperate with investigators, start over. He hesitates. I came to apologize for my unwitting role in reconnecting you with your past. And to ask, do you plan to get involved in the investigation? The question hangs between us, heavy with implication. I could destroy them completely. One phone call from the CEO of MedNova to the Medicare fraud investigators would accelerate everything. No, I say, finally. I built my life separate from theirs. I intend to keep it that way. Relief washes across his face. Thank you for seeing me. After Daniel leaves, I stand at my window, watching traffic flow 40 stories below. My phone vibrates with a voicemail notification. Grace's number, the 3rd this week. Michael calls as I'm gathering my things to meet them at the zoo. You sound tired, he says. Daniel Brooks came to see me. The family clinic is under investigation for Medicare fraud. A pause. Are you okay? Yes. The answer surprises me with its truth. Are you going to get involved? I watch a red-tailed hawk circle the skyscrapers, riding thermals with effortless grace. I was thinking about what you said last week, about how my success is already their greatest punishment. I stand by that, Michael says, but it's your choice. My computer chimes with an incoming email. An attorney representing the Medicare Fraud Investigation Division, requesting information about my time at Collins Family Practice. Attached are documents requiring my testimony. They want me to testify, I tell Michael. What will you do? I consider the question. Part of me wants to delete the email, refuse the request. Let whatever happens to them happen without my fingerprints anywhere near it. Another part remembers patients who trusted them. Elderly men and women whose Medicare benefits were stolen. I'll forward them copies of the clinic's original records from when I worked there, I decide. Nothing more, nothing less, just the facts. I'm proud of you, Michael says. My phone buzzes again. Another voicemail from Grace. Her third today. The first one begged for money. The second threatened to tell Leo the truth about his mother. I don't need to hear the third. I press delete without listening, the small action surprisingly final. Leo wants to see the new tiger cubs, Michael says, his voice a welcome anchor to my real life. Tell him I'm on my way. I gather my bag, pausing at the door to look back at my office. The Boston Memorial contract waits on my desk, another hospital ready to implement the system I built from nothing but determination and long nights. I close the door behind me, leaving Grace's voicemail in digital oblivion where it belongs. Some debts can never be repaid. Some wounds never fully heal. But I've learned that moving forward doesn't require forgiveness. Sometimes it just requires letting go. The purple coneflowers bend towards sunlight. I pinch back another spent bloom, adding it to the collection in my palm. 6 months have passed since the wedding. 6 months of breathing easier, like finally stepping out of shoes that never quite fit. Leo races between the raised beds, his Batman cape fluttering behind him. Mom, can I water the tomatoes? Start with the peppers, I tell him, pointing to the drooping leaves. They're thirsty today. He grabs his small watering can, tongue poking out the corner of his mouth as he concentrates on not spilling. The mid-May sun warms my shoulders through my t-shirt, no designer labels here, just comfort in my own space. Michael appears at the patio door, 3 glasses of lemonade balanced on a tray. Reinforcements, he calls, descending the steps into our modest garden. His surgeon's hands, the same ones that perform delicate heart valve replacements now, pass lemonade to our son with exaggerated ceremony. Thank you, good sir. Leo responds with a wobbly bow that nearly spills his drink. Michael's eyes meet mine over Leo's head. The unspoken conversation passes between us. This is what matters. This garden, this boy, this life we built from nothing but determination and truth. The Davis Hospital Board approved the patient monitoring system. Michael says casually, though we both know what this means. The 5th major hospital chain to adopt MedNova's technology this year alone. Thousands more patients who will recover safely because of what we created. That's number 5, Leo announces proudly, counting on his fingers. Mom's helping all the sick people get better faster. I ruffle his hair, amazed at how he absorbs everything. That's the idea, buddy. The doorbell chimes from inside. Michael raises an eyebrow. Expecting something? FedEx, probably. Those component samples from Switzerland. But when Michael returns, his expression has shifted. He holds a certified letter, the return address visible even from where I stand. Grace Collins, Brooks. My stomach tightens, the familiar knot I thought I'd finally untangled. I'll be in my office. The envelope sits on my desk for 17 minutes, while I finish reviewing quarterly projections. Michael leans against the doorframe, silent support. When I finally slit it open, a single sheet of cream-colored stationery slides out, covered in Grace's careful handwriting. Amber, the clinic closed last month. Not because of anything you did, because of everything Mom and Dad did. The investigation found billing irregularities going back 15 years. Daniel left me. He said he couldn't build a life with someone he couldn't trust. He was right. I'm not writing to ask for money. I know better now. I'm writing because I need to tell you that you were never the problem. I was raised to believe your intelligence threatened mine. Your independence undermined my security. I believed them when they said cutting you off necessary. I was wrong, they were wrong, and I'm sorry. Grace. Michael doesn't ask what it says. He waits until I fold the letter and place it back in its envelope. What will you do? He asks. Nothing dramatic, I answer, turning to my computer. I open a document, type for several minutes, then print a single page. I slide it into a MedNova envelope with the letter I've written. 2 weeks later, I stand at the edge of the American Medical Technology Conference in Chicago, watching my team demonstrate our latest innovations to a crowd of healthcare professionals. The red Nova booth draws attention, our reputation preceding us now. A flash of movement catches my eye, someone in pale blue scrubs near the education pavilion. Grace, her hair pulled back in a simple ponytail, listens intently to a speaker discussing entry-level medical coding certification. Our eyes meet across the crowded exhibition hall. No gasps this time, no drama, just quiet recognition. She holds the MedNova internship application I sent her, clutched like a lifeline. I offer a small nod, not forgiveness exactly, but acknowledgement. She returns it, eyes bright with something that might be determination. We don't approach each other. Some relationships are completed, not continued. That evening, I finalized the paperwork for the Collins first-generation medical scholarship. Not named for my parents, but reclaiming my birth name for something better. 20 students without family support will receive full tuition and mentorship next fall. Back home, I kneel in our garden again, digging small holes for new seedlings. Leo helps, his small hands patting soil around tender roots. Some plants don't grow well next to others, I explain, showing him how to space the seedlings. They need their own space to thrive. Like people? He asks, surprisingly perceptive. Smart boy, I whisper, kissing his forehead. Yes, like people. The sun slants golden across our yard. Through the kitchen window, I see Michael preparing dinner, moving easily through the space we've created together. I press another seed into the dark earth, covering it gently. Some roots you're given, others you get to choose. $70. The price tag on my clearance dress peeks out from beneath my arm as I tug at the zipper in the church bathroom mirror. I push it back inside, smoothing the polyester fabric that wrinkles too easily in this June humidity. The fluorescent lights do me no favors, highlighting every worry line around my eyes, every strand of auburn hair escaping my practical twist. Mom? Caleb's voice carries through the heavy wooden door. Are you okay in there? Just a minute, honey. I dab at a microscopic smudge of mascara, then straighten my shoulders. The woman in the mirror looks presentable. It will have to do. Outside, Caleb waits by the drinking fountain, all 9 years of him trying to look grown up in his only suit. The hem of his pants hovers a good inch above his ankles now. When did he get so tall? He's been growing like a weed since Easter, and my budget won't stretch to replace it until back-to-school sales. A cluster of wedding guests sweeps past us in a cloud of designer perfume. Their Gucci bags and Jimmy Choo heels probably cost more than my monthly rent. The ladies twitter behind manicured hands, stealing glances at my clearance rack dress, at Caleb's too-short suit. Your tie is crooked. I kneel down, adjusting the clip-on bow tie that came with the suit. There, very handsome. He squirms but lets me fuss. Will Uncle Jason be happy to see us? The question stings more than it should. I remember Jason at 14, gangly and heartbroken after Dad left. Remember cooking boxed mac and cheese while Mom worked late, helping him with algebra homework, scraping together money for his senior prom tux. The way he used to hug me tight and say, "You're the best sister ever, Allie." Those hugs grew shorter after he met Brooke. The calls came less frequently. Now it's mostly texts on holidays, the occasional LinkedIn update about his latest promotion. Of course he will. I smooth Caleb's cowlick one last time. He's just been busy with wedding planning. The invitation arrived last week. Thick cream paper with gold embossing. Most guests received theirs months ago. I overheard Mom telling her bridge club. The phone call came right after. Allison. Mom's voice had that particular edge she saves for me. Do try to dress appropriately this time. None of those discount store specials. This is the country club, not a PTA meeting. My fingers curl into fists at the memory. I force them to relax as another wave of designer-clad guests flows past. A woman in a hat that could double as a satellite dish raises her lorgnette, examining us like specimens in a jar. Caleb's small hand slips into mine. Sometimes I think he sees too much, understands too well for a 9-year-old. We could still go home, he whispers. Watch Star Wars instead. For a moment, I'm tempted. But I picture Jason waiting at the altar, remember his voice breaking when he called to say Brooke had said yes. Whatever distance has grown between us, he's still my little brother. We're staying. I squeeze his hand. Family shows up. The rehearsal dinner last night made it clear where we stand in the new pecking order. Brooke's air kiss barely grazed my cheek, her smile never reaching her eyes. Jason's distracted half-hug as he worked the room, always moving toward more important guests. Mom introducing her country club friends with detailed genealogies while gesturing vaguely in my direction. Oh, and this is my daughter. Now Caleb and I make our way into the grand ballroom. Crystal chandeliers throw rainbow prisms across marble floors. Flower arrangements taller than my sun tower over tables draped in silk. A string quartet plays something classical that probably isn't meant to sound quite so mournful. Our assigned table hugs the kitchen doors, far from the wedding party's elevated platform. The tablecloth has a small stain that someone tried to bleach out. I recognize the other guest's dad's second cousin twice removed. Jason's old roommate who never quite made partner, Brooke's former nanny. The misfit toys of the family tree. Caleb climbs into his chair, his feet dangling above the floor. He studies the elaborate place setting with intense concentration. Which fork is for salad again? Outside in. I demonstrate with my own silverware, grateful for that long-ago waitressing job that taught me the basics of formal dining. One more survival skill cobbled together over the years. The microphone squeals as Jason takes the stage. His custom tuxedo probably cost more than my car. His eyes scan the crowd as he begins his speech, skipping over our corner like a stone across water. Friends, family, everyone who matters. Beside him, Brooke takes her champagne flute, her practiced smile gleaming bright as her diamond. But I catch something else in her expression as she watches my brother something calculating. Cold. My stomach clenches. I've seen that look before, in the mirror of a courthouse bathroom 13 years ago, right before the judge granted Dad's divorce and he walked away without a backward glance. The microphone crackles again. Brooke steps forward, and I know with sudden certainty that this wedding is about to become a battlefield. Some wars begin with a whisper, not a bang. Brooke taps her crystal flute with a silver spoon, the delicate ring cutting through the clinking of silverware. Her smile sparkles like the diamond on her finger as she surveys the room. The string quartet falls silent. When I first met Jason, I couldn't believe someone so accomplished had such an interesting family history. Her laugh tinkles across the reception hall. A few guests chuckle politely. I mean, just look at all the challenges they've overcome. My fork pauses halfway to my mouth. The salmon turns to sawdust on my tongue. Take his brave little sister, for instance. Brooke's gaze finds me at the back table, her smile sharp as a paper cut. Raising a child all alone. It must be so hard for you, Allison. The word hard drips with sugary venom. Whispers ripple through the crowd. A woman in Versace pearls covers her mouth, eyes bright with scandal. But that's what I love about Jason. Brooke's voice carries clear to the kitchen doors. He never let his background hold him back. My cheeks burn. The crystal chandeliers multiply in my vision, fracturing into 1,000 points of light. I blink hard, focusing on my bread plate, the tiny smear of butter, anything but the hundreds of eyes I can feel boring into me. Speaking of holding back, Mom's voice carries from her table near the stage, pitched to Carrie. The champagne slurs her words just enough to make them dangerous. Sometimes damaged goods should stay on the clearance rack where they belong. The microphone catches her stage whisper perfectly. She's like a returned item with a damaged tag. Laughter rolls through the reception hall in waves. Not the polite titters from before, real laughter, sharp and cutting. My fingers clench around my purse strap, the leather creaking. I glance at Jason on the stage. His smile looks frozen, uncomfortable, but he says nothing. Just sips his champagne and stares somewhere over my head. The exit sign glows red and welcoming behind the dessert table. 20 steps and I could be out in the cool evening air. Away from the laughter, the stares, the memories of 1,000 other moments just like this one. But leaving means letting them win. Means teaching Caleb that bullies get their way if they're rich enough, mean enough, persistent enough. Means watching the last threads of my relationship with Jason unravel completely. Mom? Caleb's small voice draws my attention down. His brow furrows as he studies my face. Why are they laughing at you? The question hits like a punch to the solar plexus. I've spent 9 years shielding him from moments like this, crafting careful explanations for why we shop at thrift stores while his classmates wear designer labels, why we take the bus when other moms drive SUVs, why Daddy's name is blank on his birth certificate. It's just grown-up jokes, honey. The lie tastes bitter. Nothing important. But I see the understanding dawning in his eyes. He's always been too perceptive, my boy. Always watching, always processing, always seeing straight through the comfortable fictions adults weave. His chair scrapes back before I can stop him. Caleb, wait. He squares his shoulders in his too-short suit jacket. The determined set of his jaw mirrors my own expression in moments of crisis. Without a word, he walks toward the stage, each step measured and deliberate. The crowd's chatter dims as they notice him. Brooke's champagne glass freezes halfway to her lips. Even the string quartet seems to hold its breath. Jason blinks down at his nephew, surprise breaking through his plastic smile. He gestures to the DJ, who lowers the microphone stand to Caleb's height. My heart pounds against my ribs as Caleb takes the microphone. I want to rush forward, sweep him back to our safe corner by the kitchen. But something in his stance roots me to my chair. My little boy looks so small up there, the spotlight catching gold highlights in his hair, but his voice, when it comes, rings clear and steady as a bell. Caleb's small fingers wrap around the microphone stand, adjusting it with the careful precision he uses for his Lego constructions. The metal gleams under crystal chandeliers as he stretches to his full height. A hush falls over the reception hall. Through my blurred vision, his suit jacket pulls tight across his shoulders, those precious inches of ankle showing beneath his pants cuffs. Hello, I'm Caleb, Allison's son. His voice rings clear as Sunday church bells through the sound system. Several guests shift in their seats, champagne flutes pausing halfway to lips. My heart hammers against my ribs. What is he doing? I want to tell you something I heard before the wedding. Simple words, innocent tone. But Brooke's smile freezes mid-sip, her fingers whitening around her crystal glass. My mother half rises from her seat near the head table, bracelets jangling. She catches the eye of the DJ, making frantic cutting motions across her throat. But Jason steps closer to the stage, head tilted. The same expression he wore during our childhood science experiments, when something unexpected started bubbling in the test tube. I was looking for the bathroom. Caleb's voice stays steady, the way it does when he's reading aloud in class. The ladies' room door was open a little bit. I heard the bride talking to her friends. Brooke sets down her glass with a sharp clink. Such an active imagination children have, she trills, but the pitch of her voice climbs too high, like a violin string about to snap. She said, I don't really love Jason. Caleb's words drop into the silence like stones into still water. But he's stable and won't question my late nights. The ripples spread. A fork clatters against bone china. Someone inhales sharply. My fingers press against my lips, holding back. What? A cry? A laugh? The truth I've suspected since I first met Brooke spilling out through my son's unflinching honesty. Then she laughed. Caleb's brow furrows. She told them once they were married, she'd make sure to keep embarrassing people like my mom away. She said we weren't the right sort of family. The crystal chandeliers spin light across faces, frozen in various stages of shock. Brooke launches to her feet, her designer dress rustling like angry whispers. This is ridiculous. Jason, surely you're not going to let a child disrupt our wedding with silly stories. They're not stories. The new voice cuts through the tension. Monica pushes back her chair at the misfit table near the kitchen, her sensible shoes solid against marble floors. I remember her from Jason's college days, always speaking uncomfortable truths with unflinching calm. I heard every word, waiting to use the restroom. Just as Caleb said. Jason turns to Brooke, his face impossible to read. Did you say those things? Of course not. But her laugh shatters like the champagne glass slipping from her fingers. Well, maybe I was just nervous. Every bride gets cold feet. You can't possibly. Did you say those things? Each word falls separate and heavy. The mask cracks. Contempt twists Brooke's features into something ugly and familiar. I've seen that look before, in old photographs of our father right before he left. The same entitled disdain. The same calculation. Well, what did you expect? Her voice rises, bouncing off marble floors and crystal chandeliers. This isn't the life I signed up for. Your embarrassing sister with her clearance rack clothes. Your mother's desperate social climbing. This whole... She waves a manicured hand at the gathered guests. Sample sale family. Caleb climbs down from the stage, his small leather shoes clicking against polished floors. He walks straight to me, slipping his warm hand into mine. I'm sorry if I wasn't supposed to tell, he whispers. But lies hurt more than truth. That's what you always say. A sound like wind through leaves rustles through the reception hall. It takes me a moment to recognize it as applause, starting at Monica's table, spreading like sunlight breaking through clouds. Tears blur my vision, but these aren't the familiar tears of humiliation. My son's hand anchors me as the truth he spoke ripples outward, washing away years of careful pretense. My brother stands alone at the center of it all, his custom tuxedo suddenly looking like a costume he's borrowed. The afternoon light streaming through stained glass windows catches his face, and for a moment I see the 14-year-old boy who used to share his dreams with me over boxes of mac and cheese. I don't think that's what love is supposed to be, Caleb says softly, but in the strange hush his words carry. Love is like when Mom works extra hours to buy my science kit, then stays up late helping with experiments even though she's tired. Or when she saves the last cookie for me, even though cookies are her favorite. The simple wisdom of children. My free hand finds the small heart locket Caleb gave me last Christmas, bought with months of saved allowance. The metal warms under my fingers as the chandeliers spin light across tears now flowing freely down my cheeks. My son has done what I never could. He's spoken truth to power with the pure clarity of a child's heart, and in doing so, he's given me back my voice. The room holds its breath, suspended between what was and what will be. Through the chaos of Brooke's rising shrieks and my mother's stammered excuses, I feel something long buried unfurling in my chest. Pride. Not the brittle kind that comes from keeping up appearances, but the deep, true pride of watching my son stand tall in his too-short suit, choosing right over easy. The truth, once unleashed, cannot be caged again. And sometimes love speaks loudest through the smallest voices. The crystal flute slips from Brooke's manicured fingers, shattering against the marble floor. How dare you? Her voice carries across the reception hall, fixing Caleb in her glare. This child has ruined everything. My son's small hand tightens in mine. I squeeze back, anchoring us both as chaos erupts around the head table. Sweetie, there must be some misunderstanding. Brooke's mother flutters forward, patting her daughter's arm. Perhaps the boy overheard something out of context. Context? Monica stands from her table near the kitchen doors, straight and sure in her discount store dress that matches mine. I heard every word, clear as day. You were in the bridal suite, complaining about Jason's boring stability while planning your Thursday nights with Thomas. The name strikes like summer lightning. Thomas, Brooke's tennis instructor, the one she spent hours texting during family dinners. Brooke's perfect mask cracks. You have no right. Her voice rises, shrill against the crystal chandeliers. This was supposed to be my special day, my perfect wedding. Your perfect lie, you mean? The words slip out before I can stop them, quiet but carrying in the sudden hush. Guests begin rising from their seats, murmuring excuses. The string quartet packs their instruments with studied concentration. 100 designer heels click across marble as the crowd thins, leaving gaps like missing teeth in the carefully planned seating chart. Wait! Brooke's voice cracks with desperation. She turns to Jason, who stands frozen beside the wedding cake. Baby, they're jealous. That's all this is. Your pathetic sister and her bastard son, trying to ruin what we have because they can't stand seeing real success. The old familiar heat rises in my cheeks. The urge to shrink, to apologize, to make myself smaller burns in my throat. But Caleb's hand remains steady in mine, his 9-year-old fingers stronger than any anger. Jason. Brooke's voice softens to a whimper. Are you really choosing them over me? After everything I've done for you? The connections I've given you? The lifestyle you've gained? My brother stares at his hand, at the gold band gleaming in the chandelier light. His fingers work it slowly past his knuckle, revealing the pale strip of skin beneath. The ring lands on the cake table with a soft ping. I've been such an idiot. His voice carries the same raw edge I remember from when Dad left, when he'd curl up in my bed and ask why he wasn't enough. I thought if I could just be what you wanted, if I could fit into your world. Jason, please. Brooke reaches for him with trembling fingers. We can fix this. We can keep the undesirables away after the wedding. Start fresh, just us and the right kind of people. The right kind of people. Jason turns toward our table for the first time in hours. His eyes meet mine, really seeing me. The sister who packed his lunches, who helped him with algebra, who believed in him when everyone else walked away. I had the right kind of people all along, I just forgot how to see them. The truth of 1,000 small betrayals hangs between us. Every unreturned call, every canceled dinner, every time he looked through me instead of at me. I'm sorry. His voice cracks. I should have seen it. Should have stood up for you both. The words I've waited years to hear land like stones in still water. Part of me wants to hurl them back, to make him feel every moment of invisibility, every cutting remark he let slide. But Caleb's hand grounds me in the present, in who I want him to see me be. Sometimes, I straighten my shoulders, lifting my chin. Sometimes family means showing up even when it's hard, even when it hurts, even when the people who should protect you look the other way. A choked sound draws my attention. Mom stands at the edge of the dance floor, her carefully sprayed hair falling loose around her face. Allison. She takes a halting step forward. I don't know how to fix this. You can't. The words come out gentle but firm. You can't fix years of looking away with one moment of seeing. That's not how healing works. I gather my purse, checking that Caleb's tie is straight. We're going home now. Not because we're ashamed or because we don't belong, but because we deserve better than having to prove our worth to people who never wanted to see it. Please. Mom's voice shakes. Don't go. Let them leave with dignity. Jason's quiet words stop her. It's the least we can give them now. The marble floor echoes under our shoes as we walk toward the exit. Head high. Shoulders back. The same way I walked into my first job interview. The same way I walked out of the courthouse after filing for full custody. The same way I've walked through every moment that tried to break me. Behind us, Brooke's voice rises in one final screech. This is all your fault. You and your trash family ruined everything. I don't turn around. Don't give her the satisfaction of seeing me flinch. The evening air wraps around us like a blessing as we step outside, the stars beginning to peek through the sunset. Mom? Caleb's voice is small but steady. Are you okay? I kneel down, straightening his clip-on tie one last time. I'm better than okay, honey. I'm proud. Of both of us. The parking lot gravel crunches behind us. Jason's voice breathless. Allie, wait. I stand slowly, keeping Caleb's hand in mine. Why? In the gathering dark, my little brother looks lost, looking for the big sister who always knew how to make things better. But some things can't be fixed with mac and cheese and algebra answers anymore. Because, he swallows hard, because I need to learn how to show up too. Please don't leave like this. Jason's voice cuts through the darkness of the parking lot. His footsteps scrape against asphalt as he hurries to catch up with us. I tighten my grip on Caleb's hand, but keep walking. The click of my clearance rack heels marks a steady rhythm toward our car. A rhythm that says we're done here. Done with the pretense, done with the shame. Allison, wait. Closer now. The desperation in his voice pulls at something old and familiar, the part of me that still remembers holding him while he cried after Dad left. The part that wants to fix everything, to make it better. But Caleb's small hand in mine anchors me to now, to what we deserve. I turn around. We're leaving because we deserve better. The words come out steady, certain. Because I won't teach my son that family means letting people hurt you. Jason stops short. The parking lot lights cast harsh shadows across his face, aging him somehow. For the first time tonight, he really looks at me. Not through me or past me. At me. I know. His shoulders slump. God, I know. He gestures toward a wooden bench near the venue's garden. Just talk to me, please? Caleb tugs my hand. We can listen, Mom. The faint strains of music drift from the reception hall, some golden oldie about love and forever. I almost laugh at the irony. Instead, I let Caleb lead us to the bench. We sit in silence for a moment. Jason loosens his bow tie, the perfectly pressed tuxedo suddenly looking more like a costume than formal wear. I've been such an idiot. He runs his hands through his hair, destroying the careful styling. When did I stop seeing you, Allie? Probably around the time Brooks Country Club membership became more important than Sunday dinners. The words slip out before I can soften them. I deserved that. You did. I smooth my dress over my knees. Do you know what hurt most? Watching you become someone I didn't recognize. Someone who'd sit there smiling while his fiancé mocked his sister, his nephew. Caleb leans against my shoulder. Grown-ups make things so complicated. A choked sound escapes Jason, something between a laugh and a sob. Yeah, buddy, we really do. I thought. He stares at his hands, at the pale band where his engagement ring sat until an hour ago. I thought I needed to be someone else to be worth seeing. Her world seemed so perfect, you know? All polished and proper. No clearance rack clothes, or overdue bills, or messy divorces in the family history. So you let her reshape you. The old hurt rises in my throat. Let her tell you what parts of your life were acceptable enough to keep. I was scared. His voice drops low. Everyone at the firm came from money. Had the right connections, the right background. Brooke made me feel like I could belong there. Like I could finally be enough. The music changes inside. Something slower, sadder. A serving cart rattles past the kitchen door, the sound carrying across the parking lot. You were always enough. I touched the small heart locket Caleb gave me last Christmas. That little boy who helped me make mac and cheese when Mom worked late. Who saved his allowance to buy her flowers when she was sad. He was enough. Jason's breath catches. I forgot that somewhere along the way. You forgot a lot of things. But the anger has drained from my voice, leaving only truth. Including that real family shows up. Not just for the pretty moments and matching outfits. For all of it. Caleb straightens suddenly. Like when Tommy's dad left and you made his mom dinner for 2 weeks. Or when Miss Peterson broke her hip and we walked her dog every day. Yeah, buddy. Jason's voice roughens. Exactly like that. He turns to me. I want to fix this, Allie. I don't know how, but I want to try. It won't be quick. I meet his gaze. And it won't be easy. We'd need real boundaries this time. Real respect. I know. He stands, tugging his jacket straight. Maybe we could start now? Caleb hops up. How? Well, Jason looks toward the reception hall, where clusters of guests still mill about in their designer clothes. There's a perfectly good party in there, paid for and everything. Seems a shame to waste it on lies when we could use it to celebrate something real. I raise an eyebrow. Like what? Like family. He offers his hand. The messy, imperfect, clearance rack kind, the kind that shows up. We walk back into the half-empty reception hall together. Brooke is gone, but Mom sits alone at a corner table, looking lost among the crystal centerpieces and silk tablecloths. The remaining guests watch with curious eyes as Jason steps up to the microphone. Their whispers fade as he clears his throat. The wedding is canceled. His voice carries clear and strong. But you're welcome to stay and celebrate family instead. The real kind. The kind that tells hard truths and does the work to heal. Mom's heel catches on her chair as she stands. Tears track through her careful makeup as she crosses to us. I don't know how to fix what I've done. None of us do. I straighten my shoulders, but we can learn, together, if you're willing to try. Jason wraps an arm around Caleb's shoulders. No more pretending. No more measuring worth by bank accounts or social circles. No more clearance rack jokes, Caleb asks innocently. A laugh bubbles up from somewhere deep inside me, real and raw and healing. No more jokes, baby, just truth. The DJ starts another song, something from the 80s about second chances. Around us, the fancy flower arrangements and crystal glasses still sparkle, but they've lost their power to make me feel small. So, Jason squeezes my shoulder. Where do we start? We start here. I take Mom's trembling hand in my left, Caleb's sturdy grip in my right. With who we are, not who anyone else wants us to be. The night air drifts in through open French doors, carrying the scent of summer roses. Somewhere in the garden, crickets begin their evening song. And here, among the remnants of a wedding that wasn't meant to be, something real takes root instead. A second chance, a new beginning, a family finding its way home to truth. The scent of charcoal and grilling hamburgers drifts through my backyard. Jason flips another patty while Caleb arranges potato salad and coleslaw on the weathered picnic table. My son's tongue pokes out in concentration as he adjusts each bowl just so, making sure the serving spoons all point the same direction. You're getting pretty good at this, buddy. Jason ruffles Caleb's hair. My brother's tie is nowhere in sight, his collar unbuttoned, sleeves rolled to his elbows. Your mom's perfectionist streak is rubbing off. Caleb beams at the comparison. Mom says presentation matters, even for casual stuff. He straightens a slightly crooked paper plate. Like how you dress nice for job interviews, even if it's just at McDonald's. A year ago, that casual reference to our financial reality would have made Jason flinch, change the subject. Now he just nods. Smart lady, your mom. Wish I'd listened to her more back then. The kitchen timer chimes. I pull a sheet of cornbread from the oven, inhaling the buttery aroma. Through the window, I watch my son and brother working together, their movements easy and natural. No tension in Jason's shoulders. No worry lines around Caleb's eyes. The screen door creaks. Mom steps onto the back porch carrying a ceramic dish that steams in the June heat. I brought my green bean casserole, the one with the fresh mushrooms, not canned soup. You didn't have to cook, Mom. But I accept the dish, noting the bits of browned onion on top. Evidence of actual time spent in the kitchen rather than a grocery store dash. I wanted to. She adjusts her cotton blouse, Walmart, not Neiman Marcus. Besides, it's your favorite. The words catch in my throat. After 36 years, she remembers. I turn away, pretending to fuss with the paper napkins until I can trust my voice. Thanks, Mom. The yard fills gradually with the steady hum of conversation. No crystal champagne flutes or designer labels. Just paper plates, plastic cups, and genuine laughter. Jason's old college roommate Tom brought his kids, who chase fireflies with Caleb. My friend Susan from work shares her secret barbecue sauce recipe with Mom. Time to eat, Jason calls, and everyone gravitates toward the food. No assigned seating, no pecking order. People settle naturally into chairs and on blankets spread across the grass. I sink into an ancient lawn chair, balancing my plate on my knees. The metal frame creaks, another item on my someday replacement list. But tonight, its familiar grundles like home. Speech, Tom calls out, raising his red plastic cup. Come on, Jason, you always give good ones. Jason stands, his beer bottle catching the sunset. A year ago today, I was about to make the biggest mistake of my life. He pauses, looking around the yard. I had everything backward then. Thought success meant impressing people who didn't really care about me. Thought family was something you performed instead of lived. His eyes find mine. But I had a sister who never gave up on me, even when I forgot what mattered. And I had a nephew brave enough to tell the truth when all us adults were too scared to see it. Caleb ducks his head, but I catch his proud smile. My son, who saw through the facade of that wedding day and chose truth over comfort, who taught me that sometimes love means standing up instead of standing back. To Allie, Jason continues, who showed me what real dignity looks like. And to Caleb, the wisest kid I know. To Allie and Caleb. The chorus rises from our mismatched gathering of friends and family. Real ones, who show up with casseroles and hand-me-down children's clothes, who remember birthdays without Facebook reminders. Later, as fireflies dance and citronella candles flicker, Caleb sprawls on a blanket beside me. Hey, Mom, whatever happened to Brooke? Did she find someone else? The adults exchange glances. Jason answers carefully. Last I heard, she was dating some CEO in Cincinnati. He shrugs. But you know what? I learned something important from that whole mess. Relationships built on looking good instead of being good never last. I squeeze Caleb's shoulder. And sometimes being kind doesn't mean letting people treat you badly. He nods, wisdom beyond his 10 years in his eyes. Like how you don't let Tommy copy my math homework even though he gets mad, because real friends don't ask you to do wrong things. A burst of laughter draws my attention to the porch, where Mom is teaching Tom's youngest daughter to snap green beans. The little girl's clumsy fingers fumble, but Mom just smiles and demonstrates again. No judgment, no impatience. Movement catches my eye, my reflection in the kitchen window. The woman I see looks peaceful, no tight smile or hunched shoulders. Just me, in my favorite sundress from the consignment shop, completely at ease in my own skin. Caleb's head droops against my arm, heavy with the satisfied exhaustion of a summer evening. I brush his hair back, remembering all the nights I worried about raising him alone. But looking around this yard, at the family we've rebuilt, the truth we've reclaimed, I know he'll grow up understanding what real love looks like. Not the shiny version tied up in designer bows. Not the careful performance of perfection. But this. Burnt hamburgers and honest conversations, forgiveness that comes with changed behavior, and the courage to be exactly who you are. The stars emerge one by one above our little gathering. Jason starts gathering paper plates, Mom wraps leftover cornbread, and Susan's kids help Caleb catch one last firefly. No crystal chandeliers or string quartets needed. Just the quiet magic of a family finding its way back to what matters.